Tēnā tātou, planting seeds, nei mai hoki mai. We're here parked up on the Waitangi Treaty grounds and we're back for Waitangi Day. And sitting across from me is Rangimarie Te Whenua. Glad that I remembered that because we had a little kōrero on that side of the bridge last year, and it was really cool to be able to hear a rangatahi voice and a rangatahi perspective. And so keen to hear where you're at and how things have been over this past year, but also, you know, some whakaaro that you have as a rangatahi and how you're navigating through things. So e mihana ki a koe, nau mai ki roto I tēnei whare kōrero. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling a bit Māori. Too Māori some days. I'll just take that quote from Waitangi. No, I'm feeling really proud to be Māori this year. Just so more mana in this Waitangi because we don't have dramas about politics. Instead, we're more focused on our anamata and our rangatai and our mokopuna. So I feel very settled in being here at this Waitangi this year. And that's how I feel, very confident in being Māori.
That's so mean to hear because, you know, when you think about, we were talking about it out there, there's a lot of their kōrero around here called ngā rangatahi, ngā rangatira mo āpōpō, but there's a reframe and I probably would like you to share the punchline and, you know, like what are some of the whakaaro in regards to that whakataukī that you're, wouldn't say challenging, but I guess having more whakaaro around now?
I think the whakaaro ko ngā rangatahi, ngā rangatira āpōpō, that quote right there really needs to be twisted around because in my heart, I know I don't agree with it. I disagree with it 100%, but I respect where it's come from my old people, you know. I hanga rātou te whakataukī kia te tuki pai ai te anamata o ngā rangatai, but they've made it so there's no tomorrow. There's no tomorrow. So what I'm trying to say is ko ngā rangatai, ngā rangatira o ināianei. And that's what I really want to say, āpōpō. And what I really mean by that is we're ready, rangatahi are ready, and I can see it in a lot of us. I'm not the only one that's confident. There's heaps of us out there right now. And like we're ready to go and not take over the jobs of our rangatira, but stand next to them. For example, in a marae, I want to go and be sitting next to my kaikaranga so I can help her do the kaikaranga, be a kaikaranga, you know? And it's just those little things to do with this quote right here. I disagree with ko ngā rangatai, ngā rangatira o āpōpō, we are the rangatira of now. And it's only unless you accept it and respect those boundaries that we're trying to uphold upon you, will you fully get it, eh?
It's pretty tough to come from a rangatahi perspective because as you say, like, when is tomorrow? You know, like,
when is tomorrow?
And what is rangatahi? You know, like, am I still classified as rangatahi? Do I still got to wait another 10 years or, you know? And so there's a lot of way of interpreting it, but I think that's a real, I guess, sharp perspective and, you know, your confidence and perhaps even just your upbringing and being raised and te ao Māori is a way for you to, I guess, get to that point of being like, I feel like it's not that you've been ready now, you've been, wouldn't even say groomed, but you've been in environments that have shaped this way of being. And so would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that, but it's quite unfortunate that a lot of our rangatahi that live in like cities and stuff don't get that opportunity that I had, the upbringing that I had back at home, back at the far, far north, you know. I get to learn how to be radical. I get to learn how to be respectful to my kaumātua, how to learn my reo, like all the basic stuff. Some rangatai don't get that privilege of having. And so they just go off the whakataukī, ko ngā rangatai, ngā rangatira āpōpō, but that's not true. And I'm here to say to like all those rangatai that quote right there needs to be changed.
And so you said that there are many of you out there. And so what are the discussions that you are having with your peers around, you know, whether it's that whakataukī or even just the discourse that's happening around the direction of te iwi Māori or even like what is in front of you or what are the discussions that you're all having?
Well, I have a good friend. Her name's Chelsea. You might not have seen her, but she's in a lot of other podcasts. And so we're staying together right now and past this whole week, we do debriefs and kōrero every night. So we like have that say in what people don't have a say about, if that makes sense. And one of the things we talk about was tikanga. And I'm going to explain this because I thought it was really cool that we thought about it and talked about it, was that tikanga is a evolving thing, eh? And if you disagree with me, don't talk to me because you're not mature enough to have that conversation.
Go on then.
But tikanga is an evolving thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having the respect for those tikanga that kept us alive in the time that it was, worked for, that it was run for. Like, we don't go around now wearing straight putties and having our taiaha with us all the time. We go to mahi. This is the reality. And so we have tikanga that evolve with the way that Māori people live. And people that don't live around the evolving of tikanga is really hard to talk to and speak to. And I see that in a lot of our kaumātua and kuia, but that was the way they were raised. So we still have that respect for them. And that's just one thing I was talking to about Chelsea, because I was like, it's always evolving. But I speak about it to old people and they disagree. Me pēnei, me pēnā. But nah, we can change that because it's not going to suit us. And I think I want to leave that for the next future generations, that you don't have to base yourself on that tikanga unless it's relevant to that time. If it's irrelevant, respect it, move on.
Someone that was sitting across from you just last year, Tātari McLeod, he from Ngāti Kahungunu, he had the same kind of whakaaro, and he gave the example around, we don't put we don't put our bums on the table because that's a tikanga, or that could be seen as tikanga, but when you go to the McDonald's drive-thru, you put your kai on the seat.
Yeah.
And so there's ways where we have tikanga, but there's other parts of the context that we live in where it doesn't actually, I guess, align. And so, as you say, there's ways that life is moving and generations are moving on. The world is different. And so does that tikanga apply in this context? And can it have space to, I guess, as you say, change and grow? But are these the kind of discussions that you're having with your peers? And do you feel like it's shaping your way of thinking? And does it make you feel a certain way? Like, do you feel inspired? Do you feel radical? Like, what are those kind of karaearoto that you feel you're having?
I think because we talk about nearly everything you can think about. Every night we're basically talking to about 2 a.m, but kei te pai, we kaupapa for kids. But the way we talk to each other is in a respectful manner, and that right there makes crafts me to be who I am today. Make me come here and talk to you. I wanted to come here and speak to you.
Yeah.
So that those things, it makes me more confident in being Māori. It makes me more relevant, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I really like, those types of kōreros are needed. Because if you don't speak, you're just going to get trapped in your own mind.
It's quite interesting to me, because even now where I'm at within my life and I talk to my friends, we're talking about big things and quite hohonu things, whether it could be around mindset, or it could be about challenges, relationships, it could be about what's happening outside of us, but also what's happening inside of us. And so to hear that those kōrero are happening in your circles, it's quite amazing for me, because it took me ages to get to that kind of space of thinking and openness, and even the word that you said, maturity, because I even look at other rangatahi who perhaps are around your same age but aren't having those conversations and are just going about things, or aren't being a bit more critical. And so do you see that, and are you aware of that too, or are you pretty much stuck in your bubble around like, man, I think every rangatahi is like us? Or are you aware that some are just not on that kind of vibe?
I am aware that some rangatahi then again are still unfortunate to be in our upbringing. Me and my mates, we're basically brought up the same. It's either like you eat the kai on the table or you're going to starve. That's like the equivalent of it. So we've always been raised in those certain spaces, but I do see that a lot of rangatahi can speak, but they don't speak about hohonu things because our elders won't ever let us speak. Like, for example, you can't go on a manu kōrero stage and speak about suicide because it's too hohonu. And like for me, that's something that happened to a lot of our Māori people. So why can't we honour them, And that's quite sad that it's like that. And that's just one example. And like things like te wairua, those things have their own spaces. And it's about bringing rangatahi out of their comfort zones. And that's what I want to do one day, is to, hopefully influence more rangatahi, not to be like me, but to be like themselves. Yeah.
So creating spaces that you feel has helped you and supported you and wanting to be able to provide that for others who are perhaps less fortunate.
Yep.
So it'd be cool to actually talk about your upbringing, Rangimarie, in terms of what was that like for you? You know, there's a lot of colour and vibrancy that comes when you talk about your upbringing. And so, you know, what are some of the key things that you can share about your upbringing?
I was raised in the far north, brought up in the far north, and you just got to be tough.
Like further than here?
Yeah,
like,
further than here, like
Tikanga,
Kaitaia, Ahipara, all those places. I'm from the West Coast.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the West, we're always rough around the edges and stuff. And so you just got to learn how to cope with the tides.
Mm-hmm.
And I was raised like that, you know, but to be mindful of other people's whakaaro, be respectful to my people, and go succeed for your people. And that's how we were raised up north. Not getting too much into it, but yeah, that's how I was raised. And heaps of rangatahi from up north are raised the same.
Yeah.
I've just got a big mouth and I just know how I'm staunch in my way. I'm confident. And yeah, I like speaking about things. If I've got a problem, then I can speak about it. Address it straight away.
Man, you've got that in you, eh? Because, yeah, as you spoke about, you know, those more tougher subjects around, you know, whakamomori, the far north has quite a big reputation, I should say, or whether people know or people are aware that up the far north, a lot of those kinds of more sad stories are quite prevalent up the far north. And so when you think about, I guess, that as opposed to your upbringing, like, what are some of the whakaaro that you do have around all of that?
In our whānau, we're quite open. And we're fortunate to be open in those spaces. So we do talk. If we're pōdi, we do talk. And that's what we're trying to do up north, you know. Because so many of our whānaus have been impacted by, you know, suicide, hakamomori, all these things. Car crashes. We have car crashes every single day.
Yeah, true.
You know, and it's sad to see it. It really is. And so we try and make our people up north, not make them, but give them that opportunity that, you know, if you want to talk, if you're down, then hit us up because, we're not people, our tupuna weren't like that. If we had a problem, or if you're feeling down, you know, kōrero.
Kōrero, wānanga. Connect, support one another.
Yeah, and if you can't kōrero, find something to do, you know.
Find something to do. Get out on the taiao.
Yeah, go fishing.
Yeah, man.
Go take your hinengaro somewhere else.
I was talking to someone just outside here and we were talking about, you know, the challenges as being parents and just life in general at times when you become an adult, and, you know, there's times where your cup is empty and you feel low, you feel pōdi, or you're easily triggered because there's just no energy available. And one of the things that she said to me is that she just said to tāne, like, you need to go fishing, you know, because that's a way you can whakatau, you know, to be able to refill. And so I think those are some really important things to explore for our whānau and even, you know, for your peers, because as a rangatahi, there seems to be, not to say that this is all of you, but I'm just speaking about myself, that there isn't too much awareness of what that next step looks like around, okay, yeah, I can prepare myself well, but once you're in it and that adult kind of wheel turns and you're like, all of a sudden you're an adult, there's a shift that I realized that was like, man, being a rangatahi or being a child or having no responsibilities, it's such a beautiful space to be in. And there's so many rangatahi who try to rush to get out of that, as opposed to just, man, being in their rangatahi essence. And so, you know, thinking about that, what do you think is something important for you and your peers to recognize, I guess, that part of it? Like, are you aware that as a rangatahi, the season you're in, the space you're in, is a good space to be? Or are you in a rush to go to that next stage of being a rangatira or being an adult, or, you know, moving out of that?
Me personally, I feel like I didn't grow up too fast, but I grew fast enough.
True.
You know, I just feel too mature for my age. A lot of people think I'm 21 or something. I go in a bottle shop and they're like, oh, you're 21. Okay. I'm like, whoa, I'm not 21. But like, it's like up north kids. I'm just speaking on up north kids. Is that like, we kind of put in that position, you know, be tough, you know, be a boy, you know, kia kaha girls, do this, da, da, da. And it's like that. So we do mature faster, and it's some people do have that option of, you don't have to do that. You can go play with the kids, be a kid. Because I wish I was a kid. I wish I was a kid. I wish I was just running around on the Waitangi Bridge doing some manus. But, we grow up a lot faster than expected, and it's not until you get to like a certain age. Like, I feel old now, and I'm 17. I feel like I've already explored the whole world, been to Italy and everything. And, I do see that a lot of rangatahi do grow up way too fast. Don't grow up fast.
Nah.
Take your time. Be a kid. Be a kid till you're like 20.
Or 30. Nah.
Yeah, or 30. Maybe not 30.
We got money to do, man. We should be ready to go by then.
I really disagree, but 35.
No, not 30. Not 30.
Not 35, maybe
if you can go a bit
25.
earlier, as soon as that 30 wheel turns, holy. Anyway, the kōrero that I feel would be good to know is that, do you feel rangatahi voices are heard?
No.
Why not?
I just feel that rangatahi voices are not heard enough. I will rephrase myself. Rangatahi voices are not heard enough because, I am speaking from the other side where my voice is heard enough. I've had enough of all these interviews. I've had enough of all these kōrero, but other rangatahi don't get that opportunity. And it's quite sad to see it. Like, you can put any mail on the taumata, and like from up here, they put any mail on the taumata and they just do their thing. But like, what about our rangatahi? We don't get a lot of, not speaking for Ngāpu, but in rangatahi in general, we need more opportunities to put us out in those spaces without growing up too fast, with knowing that you are still a child. I am still a child. I'm only 17. And it's like, far. I do feel like some rangatahi voices are not heard enough. That's all I can tell you.
Is there a particular message that you feel would be important for mātua and kaumātua to hear that you feel isn't? Because the way I see it is, rangatahi voices are so potent and strong. When it comes from a rangatahi, there's something there. Because when you understand that rangatahi's experience or taioi experiences are shaped by their mātua and the environments that they're in. And so you guys are experiencing the world in a particular way, and that world has been created by those before you. And so for me, when a rangatahi says something, it's like, wow, there's something that has been really, really challenging, or it's making them interpret things that is making them want to speak out. And so when I hear it, I'm trying to tune myself into it, and I'm always trying to engage with my nephews, like, oh, what's going on? Or like, but the phones are quite of a big thing. It's the whole digital
media,
space,
right?
Social media, even gaming. And so connection is all happening in those spaces. And so what are you coming back to that question, what message do you feel is important for parents and grandparents and others to actually listen to when it comes to rangatahi voices?
A bit of advice maybe is to listen. A lot of people just need to, shut this and open these, because sometimes it's even better if you listen than talking, because you get a lot more out of listening than talking, way more. And there's some rangatahi that are like, wish they could be in my seat right now and talk about this. And I know there is, but they don't have that opportunity or like support from their mama and their papa to be sitting in this chair and speaking to you, And I feel for those rangatahi that really want it, that are really hungry for this type of mahi, that are hungry for anything, and their whānau just don't, listen or like encourage them in a way. So like definitely more encouragement towards our rangatahi, because then again our voices are a lot like developed. No disrespect to my rangatira, but I just think rangatahi voices are the best to hear, because it's facts. It's facts. It might come hard, but it's facts. And that's what I love about rangatahi voices, and that's why they need to be heard. And with that encouragement of mama and papa and koro, nanny, all of them having that support next to you, you grow as a seed, planting seeds.
Yeah, let's go.
Seeds.
Let's go.
And like just that support, listening and support is all I can give advice to, because I'm using my rangatira. I'm not your rangatira, so I can't give you much advice.
That's mean though, just listening. And I can experience that in ways where not even just on a rangatahi to mātua perspective, but just in general, if you're heard, there's something really great about that because it lets down your walls and, you know, you do feel supported and you feel aroha when you don't even have to listen to understand sometimes. It's just being present enough to just listen and give space for the others to be able to express. And for me, being a mātua myself and, you know, got 2 babies and they're going to grow up to be however they're going to grow into be, but there's this protective way of being when you become a parent, and that's what I think drives the sense of you don't know anything, or I shouldn't listen to you, you should listen to me, because it's that protective kind of āhua that comes over you, and it takes a bit of discipline and I guess unlearning with us as parents to be able to just put those down so that we can actually create engagement with our kids when they do come to us with things. And I know that's something that I'm working on at the moment so that I can get to a point so when he does or when my children start to talk, I can hear them. Rather than just trying to be dad mode and be like, nah, do this instead, you know? So there's heaps within that. And we're here at Waitangi, and a couple of years ago you done the big Hīkoi.
Oh, yes.
Talk about that, or talk about, you know, you started right up north at home and you ended up all the way down in Parliament. And so, you know, you were one of the ones holding the flag, and that was such a big moment in our time. And so, you know, talk about that.
Let me tell you guys. We're called the Pena Girls. If you've never heard of us, you do now. And so, first of all, I wasn't actually supposed to go on the whole Hīkoi. You know, it was the Hīkoi from the Cape to Kaitai and then go home, go to school. But then my mum was like, pack your bags. And then I was like, okay, got about 4 pairs of clothes. Got a few jackets for kaupapa. Oh, next minute we're going all the way to Wellington. And the mauri of that, let me just tell you, the mauri of the Hīkoi was different. I guess walking side by side your iwi and your family, you just feel a lot better. Like you don't think about anything else. You're just like, we're going to have hangi again for dinner. It was hangi every night for dinner. And I can tell you right now, there was a few iwis that took the win for me.
They make the other iwi feel bad by mentioning them.
I'm not going to mention any
You can let them speculate. They must have been us.
Yeah. There were heaps of beautiful kai and beautiful tautoko, but what I want to say is we had that support the whole Hīkoi. Every Māori, every tangata tiriti was out on their deck. If they weren't on the Hīkoi, they were waving their flags, you know, and we felt that support. It was really proud to be Māori. And it takes me back to this old kaumātua I met the other day. He was actually a part of Te Mata Ki Te collaboration, which is the 1975 Hīkoi with Whina Kupa.
Wow.
And so I met him the other day and I said, I went on this Hīkoi, Menes, da-da-da-da-da. I just spoke about it. And he reckons, wow, when we went on our Hīkoi, even our own were turning against us. And it's like, imagine going on a Hīkoi, feeling like you actually don't belong doing that Hīkoi. And even like your mum, your dad, your cousins, your whānau are like, get off that stupid Hīkoi. But really, that's what made us do all these other Hīkoi. If they were to know the impact on the 1975 Hīkoi today, man, it would have been a different story. But that's what made our people push, you know. And having that confidence with us last year, having all the kōrero, the kuyanko mātua, every night, they had their little 50 cents about their Hīkois and stuff. And so it was like a highlight driving past all the big cities like Auckland, seeing all the bridges when you go out of South Auckland and they got like flags flying everywhere. And you're like, damn, we got some mana here or something. It was a different type of energy. But I could tell you right now, my favorite place, my least favorite place was Wellington. Not because there were so many people, because it was just such a long road. It was such a long road, but I'll walk any day with my people. But the point of that Hīkoi was so we don't have to walk again, you know. I love walking side by side my people, but I don't want to do it ever again, you know. That type of wairua I want to feel again, but Hīkoi, no, because our mokos shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not their job to. That's what we did. don't go back repeating the same things. If it's relevant in the time, like tikanga, how it's always evolving, if it's relevant in the time, hena, mahia. But if it's not, leave it to the side.
Because that's aligning with the kōrero that, Hana was speaking about as well, last year and the year before was just all around like, man, and you said it at the start of our kōrero, which is we need to actually focus more on the future, like where are we going and having like different mātāpono and different ways of thinking so that we can actually put all of that energy into what are we up to moving forward. And with Hana getting into, I guess, the Māori party, and for you to being a rangatahi, wahine, what was that influence like for you to see someone like Hana, who's still rangatahi herself, go into that space and actually create such a, she had some magical moments throughout her time. And so, what's your POV of that?
When she, before she went to go do that thing at Parliament, when she ripped the papers and stuff, she was actually on the Hīkoi with us, running her whole rohe of Waikato, coming to speak and say, let's get rid of, let's put aside ka whawhai tonu tātou and say ka ora tonu tātou. And so that inspired me so much, how she went to do a whole morning run, which I don't do, to speaking all the way to going straight to Mahi, doing her job well. And yeah, that's really inspiring. I'm just going to say that she's an inspiring rangatahi, and that's like, it's not the level I want to be at because we have different levels.
And different roles.
And different roles. My role here at Waitangi is different than a lot of people. All my kasis out on the waka, you might not be able to talk to them because they're doing the real hard work out there. So I think she's very inspiring in her ways that she did that.
What do you think is the most harmful thing that is occurring within your reanga in terms of what do you think is the most challenging? That could be social media, could be, I don't know, like what's happening in your guys' spaces that's really challenging. It might not be personally, but what are you observing?
I think what's quite challenging for me, or not for me, I'm speaking on like rangatahi wise, is vaping. Far out.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And there's heaps of things social media. Can speak about social media because I have social media. Everyone has social media. It's a good way, We have its good ways, it has its bad ways. People just use ChatGPT to do their mahi. And that's a big challenge, that you can see that social media is developing so much to our rangatahi that they don't have their own whakaaro in its ways. I can put rangatahi up and all that, but it's really thinking about those challenges that are like, wow, that's why people don't respect us. And it's crazy to think that. It's actually crazy to think that so many people use social media. And then there's those ones that are like very to themselves. I respect those ones. Social media is a good platform for people that, are not very open with speaking to people, very introvert, like no harm to them. But those things must be noticed,
Do you think that there is more introverted rangatahi than there are extroverted because of social media and gaming and things of that nature? Like, do you feel people are more out there online than they are out there in person?
I think I could say 50-50.
Okay.
I live in the north. All around here, we're all big mouths.
Yeah.
But then I go down to Auckland and I'm hanging out with some Auckland friends and I'm like trying to talk to them and it's like...
right. You're right.
And it's like, oh... there is this side. There is this side of things. But then again, no bad thing, no bad hate towards them. But they're not raised like us. We are raised a whole different way. I'm raised a whole different way. So I think social media does have a big impact.
That it all comes down to how you were raised again, eh? There's actual studies around it.
Were you raised on your marae? Were you raised with your reo? And it's unfortunate if you're not. But if you are, hena whakamahi a tō reo, o whakaaro, there's heaps of Māori out there that just ki roto i te kāpata nui o tōkero. We say that around here. And I know heaps of them, like kāpata nui o...
What does that mean? Kāpata nui o tōkero, what does that mean?
Almost like staying inside of the wardrobe.
Oh.
Too shy to be telling anyone that you're Ngāpuhi.
Oh.
I go down to Ngāti Parau, he hononga ki taku pāpā. I go down there and I'm like, I'm Ngāpuhi.
Yeah.
Proud.
Yeah.
And they're like, who's this rangatahi? I'm like, I'm Ngāpuhi. And they're like, Ngāti Parau hoki, Ngāti Parau hoki. Oh, sorry guys, well, I'm actually raised in Ngāpuhi. But the kāpata kōrero is, some people like to stay in the kāpata. Don't want to talk about anything. It's like, for example, pedos on the pie. You know, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
No one wants to address it, I'll address it. That's what I mean.
Are you talking about that?
Yeah. If I've got a problem, then I'm going to say it because I totally agree with that. It's just our problem right now, which I was talking about last night, was that people on social media, our culture in particular, love to play up or love to give their 50 cents to like the kaupapa in itself of being Māori or like anything as soon as it comes to the voting year, which is not a really good look for our people because then again you've got all the tangata tiriti questioning themselves. You've got all the Māoris thinking, should I even vote this year? Even though we just did a whole hīkoi on the purpose, you know, kia pōtia mō mātou mokopuna te take. You know, if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your children. I don't got children. But to be honest, I've got heaps of kids. They're not mine. They're not my kids. They're siblings' kids, cousins' kids. But I feel like I'd have them all the time.
Oh, you're going to be a gangster mama when their time eventually comes. And it's cool how your ingoa is there too, you know, like you might have this, you know, staunch aspect of you, but, you know, it's coming from that place that way. It's like, kia tau te rangimarie ki runga i ngā mea katoa almost, eh? And so it's cool to hear where that's coming from. But the other thing that I feel is going to be cool to kōrero about is, you know, what are you mostly passionate about and like what do you think is driving you the most at the moment in terms of how you're going about things and what you're speaking to? Like what's driving that?
Things that drive me are kaupapa like waitangi. Every waitangi I come to, it's a different feeling, eh? But it's the same wairua. Like I love it so much. And this is what drives me to you know, go get all my land back. Because at the end of the day, I'm passionate about getting all my land back, sitting on my beach and eating kinners.
Yeah, let's go.
You know, but before that happens, I want to go through the long run, the hard way. I'll go the hard way. And, you know, go get my degree, do all these things to get my land back and, you know, leave a good legacy for my tamariki, for my mokopuna, for my people, because that's all that matters to me. My people, my whakapapa, and, you know, the lifestyle we live in. My whenua and my kina. Don't forget about the kinas.
What's the best thing you think Te Reo Māori has given you? Because you say that a lot, but, you know, what does Te Reo Māori give you?
I've grown up with Te Reo Māori all my life. Ko Te Reo Māori tōku reo tuatai e. So once I learned Te Reo Pākehā was when I was like, wow, that's pretty Pākehā. And what I mean by Te Reo Māori, like it gives me opportunities to go into places because I think two ways. I can have that confidence to think in Te Reo Māori and kind of have that confidence to speak in Te Reo Pākehā, but more so in Te Reo Māori. Right now, I'm trying to do Reo Rua. I'm trying to make sense in Te Reo Pākehā. And so that's what, like, my biggest struggle is trying to make sense in Te Reo Pākehā. Te Reo Māori's always been my baseline and it gives me better opportunities in kura and sports and things like this. And, you know, some kids are still unfortunate to have that opportunity.
Man, it must be, like, again, it's like a shift in just ways of thinking, eh? Because that's what language is, eh? It gives something to how you think. And for you, you know, thinking in Te Reo Māori is a way of, I guess, seeing the world, eh? It's like your worldview. But then now you're in the space of knowing two worlds, which is very strong. You know, it's a very strong stance to have. And the thing that I feel would be like cool to, I guess, start wrapping us up is coming back to that kōrero around, you know, ngā rangatira o ināianei, ko koutou ngā rangatahi. And tomorrow you're going to be speaking. There's a few kaupapa that are ahead. Last year we had a mean chat on the bridge and it was Like quite, quite inspiring. And so you followed that theme. And so I just want to ask you, what does a rangatira or ināianei look like in your mind? Like, how are you as rangatahi leading? What does that look like?
That is a really good pātai. And sometimes I change my mind about this, but a rangatira to me is someone who can be humble and staunch at the same time. Someone who can be in the kitchen and on the taumata at the same time. Someone who knows how to speak English and be great at te reo Māori at the same time, and have their weaknesses and be able to talk about those weaknesses as well. And so a rangatira is got a lot of responsibilities on him or her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just about holding yourself in the right way where you can go back and give back to your iwi. And that's what a rangatira is to me.
That's beautiful.
Do it for your people, not for yourself.
And it also has to have that level of integrity, because how you are towards others, you need to be sure that you are that for yourself and for those that are near as well, because I think that's the biggest challenge that is out there for leaders is when you're doing it for people, there's usually a cost. And that could be how you are towards your own whānau because you're not there, or might be you give so much out here so your whānau get the worst of you. And so there's that part of leadership that I feel is super important, is like doing it for people but ensuring that you're keeping yourself well and you're living with integrity. So you're not saying this over here but doing this behind closed doors. And so it's just being able to have that kind of āhua. And I think what you're sharing there too is just having capacity and ability to be competent in both worlds by having the whakaaro of people and navigating things appropriately while being more open to other potentials, which is we haven't explored in this place before. And do you dare to go there, and trust yourself enough because of what it leads to? So e mihi nui ana kia koe moe nei kōrero. I do want to pass it over to you if you have any final kōrero for our whānau who are tuning in, for the rangatahi voices that aren't being heard. Hauha o kupu o tō kōrero whakamutinga mō tātou e tohine.
Hena haramai ki Waitangi if you're around Waitangi. If not, kei te pai. Just keep it Māori. Māori all day, every day. Pai a te tino rangatiratanga kia tū te ao Māori. Tēnā rā tātou katoa.
Doits, ngā mihi. Let's go.
Slay.